Hello, this is Dan Ferrisi, Group Editor, Commercial and Security with Commercial Integrator here at the HDBaseT Alliance booth at InfoComm 2025, where you're talking about the latest education trends, hybrid learning, and we have a great panel here to join us. Thank you so much, Erin, Maher-Moran, Joshua Joseph, for joining me. It's great to have you back. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely.
So why don't we get right into it? As I said, we're going to be talking about the modern classroom. We're going to be talking about hybrid learning. I'm interested in some of the biggest challenges that you see that schools are facing. We're trying to deliver a seamless, multimodal learning experience. And whether people are in the classroom, people outside of the classroom, how do you get that multimodal learning done effectively?
Really, for me, it's trying to find the balance of everything because we have a wide variety of faculty that teach in different ways. And so they all have kind of their different ideas of how they want to use the space and how they want to teach. So we have to kind of find something that meets in the middle and it serves the biggest array of teaching moments, but also having to keep the cost of those rooms unreasonable. So we really, it's about communicating the needs and then deciding of those what really is going to be the driving factor in those spaces, and just doing our best to make it all easy peasy because faculty don't want to have to spend their time learning like a really complex system. They want to be able to walk in, deliver their content, and go. And that's what they're there for. They're there for the students to teach, and so we want to kind of, we want to make that available for them. But still, they're also the complexity of it has to be behind the scenes. So it's a double layer. It's an interesting balancing act to do.
What would you add, Joshua?
Yeah, I would probably echo some of the same things, kind of the complexity of being, especially from a manufacturer integration side, the corporate side of things, when complexity kind of gets disguised as capability. That's kind of one of the biggest issues, right? Where it's the system's capable of doing simple things, but it looks complex to the instructor or the faculty. And also just making everything equitable. Like this department likes to do it like this college likes to do it like this. They think this sounds better. They think this looks better. They want bigger, interactive. This college doesn't like. So, and doing sandbox rooms and evaluations and getting everybody involved in the process early, I think can help create that experience.
So, of course, AV integrators, whether they're external or in-house, are involved in a lot of this. So are IT departments increasingly. I'm interested in some of the design principles or best practices that you might want to share for IT departments specifically when it comes to intuitive, stress-free hybrid learning environments.
Yeah, so that's the thing. We have learned that we really have to make sure that we partner with our networking department and create those relationships, and build trust, because they have to know that what we're doing is going to be okay, and that we're keeping up with the security standards that they've established. But then also we have to make sure that they understand that things have to be a certain way in order for all of our equipment to communicate together. So really trying to relate that has been the most important thing, and the trust, because I think they're like, oh, you're AV, whatever, we're the IT experts. But I feel like we definitely have some things that we've taught them over the years, but it's trying to make them realize that there are so many bits and pieces of our thing, but that they have to know that we need a certain amount of bandwidth per room, and especially with when we start adding in the wireless presentation and then any of the remote capabilities, we need them to have network reliability, because so much of our stuff depends on it. It's not like the old analog systems that will just go. And now that we have everything on the network, it's been quite the challenge. But we have started. Every project we do has like a set of standards built into it, between the cabling and all that sort of requirement. So it's important to make sure that all is known and passed over right up front.
Right. Joshua?
Yep. I think, yeah, in a lot of those situations, of course, the faculty, they don't see the budget. And so
They have no idea how much it costs.
yeah, and they're like, well, I saw that one room, that one room in that one building that does the thing and does the thing and it sounds like this. Why don't we just do that everywhere? And I think that's kind of, especially in higher ed education and totality, a lot of the struggle, right? They see that, okay, there's a microphone in here, there's a TV in here. They don't know the difference that TV has more functionality, capabilities. That's why we can't do a TV in the classroom like we did it in the conference room, because the conference room TV is from, wherever, because we don't need those same functions. And yeah, I just always feel for y'all, because that's probably the biggest thing when you're trying to incorporate, hybrid systems and make the remote folks happy, the adjunct folks happy, and just that backs that equitable thing that really is always a big part of it.
So everyone wants smart, scalable solutions in their education environments, but we also walk into the future ready. So do you want to talk a little bit about combining all of those desirables into one overall package?
Yeah, so we always try to make sure that whenever we're building in a system, we know that we are going to have a certain amount of inputs and outputs right away. But we want to make sure that we leave a little wiggle room so that when the next thing that comes in, the next cable standard, so that we have that ability to quickly add the capability to do that without having to do a major system overhaul. We can just add that one thing in. So trying to keep things as flexible as possible, while then being able to think ahead a little bit. But it's so hard because we're getting new things every day. But yeah, so just something as simple as making sure that our switcher has an extra input on it, or if we're doing something like AB over IP or what, that we can add extra endpoints just in case.
Yep. Same. Just making sure it's future proof and, working with, manufacturers and integrators and making sure that that's heard and that, you're not just getting the current thing because it's the best price that won't be capable of the firmware updates in 3 or 4 or 5 years. And just because things move so fast, the tracking cameras move so fast, the technology moves so fast, just making sure you have everything in place for what that, 5-year cycle, typical refresh, which I know now is maybe be different at times, but, if we think USB-C 3.7 is coming in 4 years, like with that, is this capable of making that addition possibly with this switcher or this program or this software, and just kind of thinking of those things and working with universities to make sure it's capable.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you had mentioned, Erin, standards. So like something like HDBaseT, is that a factory considering like the interoperability and reliable foundational standard?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we know that it's a reliable method to get signal from place to place. So it absolutely is something that we find very important to include in our system designs.
I guess my last question is, we talked about a number of different best practices and ideas, what IT stakeholders need, what professors need, the various factors and influencers that affect these hybrid system classrooms. What overall do you see stakeholders doing to respond to these realities of the market, be they integrators, external or in-house, be they vendors, be they end users themselves? what is the actual proactive response you've seen to these endemic factors we talked about?
So for like internal stakeholders, a lot of it has become how can we do more with less? Because like how how Joshua said, all they people see these amazing things that we can do, but then when they find the reality of the price tag of it, then it's like, oh, yeah, we have to lower our expectations a little bit, but at the same time, still stick to the standards that we've established. So it becomes difficult in that respect when creating systems, because then we have to try to, but not sacrifice the quality and the standard that we had established, because that we have to make sure we let them know that there's a reason why that we do things this way. This isn't our first time around. We know that we have to remote manage. We have to it has to be something within our scope of knowledge. We can't put every different manufacturer on our campus, because then our support people can't then support it. So we have to make sure that we're sticking to a certain standard. And also because we always get oh, can't you just go to the box store around the corner and just buy a television? It was like, no, because that television is going to burn out in a year, because we have classes in here at least 12 hours a day. Yeah. Most of the time, the systems are not shut down between classes. Those TVs are meant to be on maybe 4 hours a day, if that, because in your home, we all know as professionals, the commercial ones are way different than the ones, so it's trying to keep that all balanced by trying to circle back around. So what, with our external stakeholders, what we're really appreciating is knowing those roadmaps in advance so we can plan out. I have my life cycle for each summer basically planned out for the next handful of years. I know what classrooms need to be done. With finances being the way they are, we're going to have to push some of that, but that's okay. But then I know that if I push it in one space a little longer, a certain display might not be available with the features I need on it, because that is going to be phased out. Or then I know the next one will be available at that point. So I'm like, okay, we can make those switches. So knowing that roadmap is super important to us. But just being honest about the changes that have to be made between supply chain disruptions and also, with flip tariffs. And so having to change pricing on real quickly, and with those quotes not being they're only going to be applicable for like, instead of the usual like, oh well, this will be good for 30 days or whatever. Now it's kind of like, well, isn't it 2 weeks maybe, if that? Like they're getting shorter and shorter, but we get it, but we just need that transparency and honesty up front.
Yeah, this proposal has been for 8 hours.
And unfortunately, we kind of joke that things move at the speed of higher ed, which is super slowly, because our procurement people, their systems are just not set up to respond to that quickly. So we're like, okay, can we just sign this, and is that good? Even though the PO is not going to be officially cut, and usually, they know that that's how it works, so they're like, oh, okay. Well, we get a little leeway, but it's interesting times.
It is. So last word goes to you, Joshua. And just to refresh the question again, with all the endemic industry factors, with all the endemic industry factors we talked about, what would you say you're seeing stakeholders doing from the integrator side, from the vendor side, from the end user side? What are you seeing in the real world?
I'd say, I don't want to say finally, but sort of a lot more collaboration, like transparent collaboration, kind of like with us with HDBaseT, and also kind of seeing what their roadmap is. So when we're integrated it with our products, we can make sure it's what's forthcoming. just a lot more collaboration from the jump, from product development, with partners for us, like everything's in the cloud and open APIs, and helping out, the higher ed community, letting them know that these things are available for existing systems as well, not just new systems and new products that are coming out. So I think collaboration between manufacturers, integration, and the higher education community early on, things like HETMA, and how we work together, I think is kind of what the future needs. So we can help their internal stakeholders and help them justify why this is not just, some radio clock that needs to be upgraded every 3 years. This is real technology. It's not just your IT stuff. That's the most important thing on the campus. This AV stuff is going to change lives as well and affect learning outcomes in the long haul. So,
Well, as I say, I think you're both A students. You gave us a lot of insight, a lot of information about the state of hybrid learning, the state of the education environment. Really do appreciate you, Joshua Joseph, and Erin Maher-Moran, for joining me today. Great conversation. Thank you, as always, for taking the time. My name is Ferrisi, Group Editor, Commercial and Security with Commercial Integrator here at the HDBaseT Alliance Group at InfoComm 2025, talking to thought leaders from the industry about the hottest topics of the day.